Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Dinara, and today I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce you to Elizabeth Bykoff, a friend of mine I've known for over 16 years. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth.
Hey, thanks for having me, Dinara.
I know you've got an amazing story to tell our audience, and I'm so grateful you're here with us today. So, Elizabeth, tell us a little bit more about your journey in the tech industry so far. How has it been?
Yeah, it's been definitely a bit of a ride, if I can say that. I've been in it officially since 2007 when I first joined PwC on the consulting side. And as you know, I worked with you at one of the very big tech public company, right, called Adobe. And so
Yes,
I had a chance to see that transition when, if you remember, when Adobe was moving from the box to SaaS, right?
big
If you remember that,
transformation.
right? And so being through that transition and then seeing what the SaaS industry did, right? Not just from a public company, but also after leaving PwC in 2017 and moving into the pre-IPO world in the Bay Area. So, startup entrepreneurship and smaller companies. And now this new transition to AI, right? But it's been very great to be in the middle of it, right?
And you just mentioned this key inflection points, transformation to SaaS and now to AI. I didn't even realize that we are meeting in this inflection points with you. I wonder what will happen when we meet next.
Yeah.
We had great time at Adobe back in the day, and I've always been fascinated at how quickly you were able to adapt, and introduce new initiatives and ideas. So I know you also started your own company. Could you tell us a little bit more about it? What inspired you to go on this journey?
Yeah, after leaving PwC, I had a chance to, like I said, join that pre-IPO world. So I didn't go very far. If you remember the company Aptus, which was being used at Adobe for contract lifecycle management,
Yeah.
I joined them when they were late stage, about to go IPO, supposedly 12 to 18 months. So that was the sell. Come and help us clean up house on the professional services side. And then we didn't go IPO. We got bought by Thoma Bravo, big P firm. And then so from there, that started my entrepreneurial or pre-IPO journey, right? Being in that venture ecosystem. Late stage with Aptus, but after that, I did two Series A, one VC backed, one P backed, one ran out of money, got sold during COVID. And along the way, I started doing my own angel investments, still waiting to see what happens. And then also started coaching startups and founders informally, formally. And I also spent 2 years with the Morgan Stanley Inclusive Ventures Lab in New York coaching. And so, at the end of 2022, when ChatGPT came out, I thought if I have to explain how to build a sales process in Salesforce, to another founder, I'm shooting myself in the head, right? Like there has to be a better way
Yeah.
I thought that the tech was finally here to really help more entrepreneurs and more founders from an operational perspective, right? I can't tell you what to build, how to build it, or, what service you want to do and sell it. You still have to do that as a founder. But all the crap, I call it, that you still have to do to run a company, setting up process, hiring people.
Yeah.
I thought, hey, could we give this ops in a box to founders and entrepreneurs, right? They can put that in place. I didn't jump at it right away, Dinar. I was more an operator. That's what I did my entire career. So,
Mhm.
I was like, hey, am I also founder material? Can I do this? Jury's still out. We'll see. But I took my time and I just really took 2023 just talking to a lot of founders, a lot of early stage operators. Then I joined the lab, so it was perfect. I was in the middle of my ACP, so I took my time, and then eventually we decided to start building in 24. Which, in hindsight, you're like, I should have waited 25. That's pre-lovable, pre-vibe coding, pre.
Yeah. It would have been easier. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been easier and cheaper, and in some cases faster, at least to get an MVP, right? But in hindsight, lessons learned, right? It's been really just trying to micro pivot, I call it, with all the new tech and innovation that comes in, right? So agentic workflow, MCP, OpenClaw, you name it, what's coming next, right? And also making sure that we were adding value. So now Boxy is really the AI CEO for the dollar journey founders. We've been really focused on fundraising and really building a structured way for founders to raise capital. Yeah.
Congratulations on the 12th week journey so far. I believe with all this code vibing, with all these applications that are so easy to create, I think the market may be inundated with all these crazy ideas and new developers wanting to do something. Do you have any advice for new founders who want to build something new? How do they need to make a product that would probably make a difference in people's lives?
I think it doesn't matter anymore if you're tech or non-tech founder. If you have an idea, you can now, through vibe coding, whether with V0 from Vercel or Lovable, you can take that idea and very quickly build something that will not be fully scalable, but will be production ready, that you can actually share really quickly with your customers or your potential customers, right? And so I think the mechanics don't change. You still need to be really close to your customers, your target customers, your prospect, understanding their pain points, the value, right? The thing that has changed is that you can take that and really quickly build something and put something in front of them so they can react, and you can get that feedback almost like instantly. Get the requirements, at least take 3 months to build something, and then put it back out there. That's almost gone. Stay as close as you can from your customers. That doesn't change. That's actually even more important. Do not waste time now, and just build something, vibe code it, put it out there, even if it's not perfect. Really get feedback to try to find that pain point that people are ready to pay for, right? That's very, very important. I think based on the current environment, the last I would say is try to make money as fast as you can, in the sense of traction. Before, the model was like, hey, build, get customers. It's okay if they don't pay, fundraise, and let's go, right? I think what you're seeing is there's investors, to your point, are bombarded of ideas being built right now.
Yeah.
Have to figure out what's actually backable, what's not. And then you have some founders that don't want to go VC, institutional fundraising quite yet, right? They just want to see how far they can bootstrap, how far they can maybe have, friends and family or angels helping them. And I think that's great, because that focus helps you. One, you don't have the pressure of institutional funding. But second, that really has you focus on, breaking even and being a profitable business from earlier on, right? You need to make sure that you're building something people want, they want to pay for it. And then you really can then, take off a little bit, and you're in a better position to fundraise if you have to after that. Sometimes I'm going to say the younger founders want to raise, as the badge of honor. I've done it. I've raised, whatever amount of money. And I think that needs to change a little bit. I think, hey, build a profitable business on the path of being profitable, and then go raise. And I think that's what I would tell people. Just go at it, but just make sure you have people that are willing to pay for it.
And also with the concept of failing fast, right? Thank you for sharing these pieces of advice. So back to your company, you're in a 12-week journey now since launching it. Did you just mention it's like an MVP for you now?
No, we're a bit past that MVP. We've got a lot of feedback. We've got the first MVP had 50 beta testers on it. The second one had 35 beta testers. And so we got so much feedback that we were ready to at least launch with not everything, but, in 5 to 6 weeks, we were able to put something out there that was valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we've just been slowly prioritizing and continuing to build based on customer feedback, and where to refocus. And at the beginning, it's never pretty. I look at my UX UI, and founders are like, it's overwhelming, and I'm like, yeah, I agree, let's go now, polish that, right? That's not what we focused on right away.
This is your vision now for the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years, am I right?
Yeah, the vision is to be the tool that, when you start a business, you buy your domain, you buy your email provider, and you buy Boxy, right? Especially if you're a first-time founders and you don't know where to start. The goal is to have the platform really help you as your first operational hire, right? Like, hey, what do I do? Do I need to pay my taxes?
No, I wish you really lots of success with this, and I'll be watching the progress of your company. Who knows, I might be the one using your services, launching something new as well, vibe coding. There are no barriers. Actually, it kind of leads me to my next question. I speak with a lot of people, and most of my guests happen to be men, right? It's very rare that I have females in the tech. I don't know why, but there is still a kind of a gap.
Yeah.
Do you see any barriers for women now, with maybe with the rise of AI, eliminating these barriers for women to join the tech and build something for like new founders potentially?
Since we're still in some cases in the minority, even from a computer science perspective, even though the numbers have gone really up significantly, but it's still male dominated. If you're not a tech founder and you're woman, I think yeah, the barriers are down, right? You can really do that for very cheap and start building something. You might have to learn a couple of skills and all that, but you can definitely do that. In some areas, though, we're still a bit behind. It doesn't mean there's not a lot of progress, but from a fundraising perspective, if you're a woman tech founder, you still have challenges, right? The numbers are not pretty. They were getting better before COVID, then they went back down after COVID, and so we're still dealing with that. I think as you see, a lot of more women are now able and empowered to really start businesses, and not just tech businesses, right? But there's always more to do, right? There's always more work towards that. But I do think
Yeah.
that with AI, there's a lot of things now that can help on the family front to free time for you to do something from an entrepreneurship perspective and vice versa, right? So it's how to use AI on both sides of the fence, right?
Yeah, no, it's great to hear your perspective. I agree with you on this one. Elizabeth, I know you've got another amazing project which you started. You wrote a book, you launched a book. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so the book is called French Lending, and it's really about my arrival to in the United States 22 years ago. I basically started a book during COVID, and it took me a little while. We were all in front of our screen, so at some point towards the end of 21, I couldn't be in front of the screen on Sundays writing, so I had to take a bit of a break. But restarted, and now the book's out since last year, and audiobook, ebook, Emily in Paris in reverse. Uh, Nonfiction, though, no stereotypes, stories of me just experiencing the American culture, landing as a French 22-year-old. So there's chapters on dating, wine, healthcare, you name it. Each chapter is a different cultural topic. And it's been really fun to put it out there and see what happens.
Do you know, I'm definitely going to buy this book. I'm very keen to know your story in more detail because I think we share a lot of experiences with you. Because just like yourself, 16 years ago, I moved to the UK. I still haven't obtained a British accent, as you can hear. Unlike yourself, you sound very much American to me now, more than French. So, no, well done, you. So, what was the most difficult part, you believe, immigrating? I believe you did it just like myself, all on your own, just potentially like a small bag, and then you build a family, a company, your friendships, your community. Yeah. What was the hardest bit in immigrating to another country?
But for me, I learned about the American culture originally through movies and TV shows, right? For us in France, the movies were dubbed.
Yeah.
Somehow I grew up with this idea of this, America on the silver screen, if I can say that. And my mom took me to the US, my brother and I, the first time in 94. And we spent 3 weeks, Kentucky, Washington, D.C., New York the last week. And it had such a huge impression on me. I was like, I'm coming back to live here at least for a little bit. I didn't know how long. So I also was quote unquote raised that teenager that was like, I'm going to New York. I'm going to have this life, with all these friends. The biggest challenges was, you're coming on your own, as you know, right? You're lending. I was a student and I had to find a way to stay. I got an MBA and then I got a job. But a lot of the things that was hard was like discovering that the silver screen ideas that you thought about America was like completely not that at all.
Yeah.
And you basically have to readjust to the reality of of what the culture is really about, and then taking the good stuff, leaving the bad stuff, because you were not really born and raised there. So you can be like, hey, I'm actually French, I'm not going to take this, but I'll take this. At the end of the day, it was realizing that after spending a few years that I had to assimilate anyway really quickly, because when you're alone, you don't really have a choice, right? And so I ended up having to become this hybrid citizen, if I can say that, where I would come home and French friends, people were like, you're American now. But then when you're back here, you're French. You're not really American, right? So you're in the middle of this, I mean, we have an expression in France, which is you have your ass in between two chairs. Literally, that's the expression.
Okay.
You end up in this in between, and you have to kind of embrace it and say, yeah, I'm not really completely French anymore, but I'm not completely American either after 22 years. You have to come to terms with it because, even I joke about it, but I think my mom and my brother still see me as the 22-year-old that left.
You look 22-year-old as well.
I wish. They still see me as if I didn't, I was still there and raised the way I was raised. And, and you're like, no, I have 22 years of experience having to work in this work environment and, this political environment, this societal environment, which is very different. Doesn't mean I'm renouncing everything. Everybody's like, you're French. You're so French, right? But at the same time, when I go home, that's been for me, not the hardest part, but at least having to accept the fact that I'm kind of this merge, if that makes sense, right? I'm hybrid. Versus trying to just say, I'm going to fit in one or the other, or, who am I,
Having two identities, it's so easy. Did you just mention you're based in New York, right?
No, I'm in Austin now, but I was in New York for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, it's resonating so much what you've said. First of all, barriers when you immigrate, and then all these identities, you never know. But I need to learn that French. How does it sound in French, what you just said? Deux chaises, quelque chose comme ça?
Le cul entre deux chaises.
Entre deux chaises. Okay, remember, I graduated from the French university back in the day. But yeah, we used to speak French with you, I remember. Fantastic. It kind of brings me to my last question. If listeners could take just one takeaway from our discussions today, Elizabeth, what would that be?
Don't take yourself too seriously. I think, it's funny. I was reflecting on that this morning on the treadmill. Next year is going to be 20 years when I officially started my career in the US. 2007 was July. And somehow I've been thinking, I still remember my first day. We got shipped to Peachtree City, Georgia, which is south of Atlanta, for, the first 2-week training for the new MBA undergrad class of PwC of 2007. And I was just like, where did the time go? I still remember that first day and those 2 weeks. I don't know why. And then after that, coming into the office, where have I been? Wait a second. I thought I was going to be a partner at PwC, right? I knew I wanted a green card. And so I knew I had to stay at least 5 years to go from H1, F1, H1B. It took me, a second to be like, you're committing to this company at least 5 years, right? Which I ended up staying 10 years. When you're in it, you're like, I'm going to go all the way. And so I decided to take this calculated risk of quitting with no job. And then that opened up this entire the last 10 years almost of this pre-IPO world. And if you had asked the 25-year-old when she signed her job offer, where she'd be 20 years later, 20 years, 30 years into the same company. And now you turn around and you're like, oh, wow, like, no, I took risks. I didn't know what would happen. Mm-hmm. Luckily or not, it turned out okay. I've had wonderful experience. I've met wonderful people. In some cases, I took myself way too seriously, or in the sense of being worried, right? Like, oh, what do I do next? Like, is this working? Is this, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing that? And then you realize, it all will work out. I think I would say, hey, just take those opportunities if you can, right? Everybody has personal, circumstances. Take those opportunities, enjoy them. Even the failures are learning experiences. And yeah, don't take yourself too seriously.
Fantastic. So if I can recap, don't take yourself seriously, take opportunities, and do not be afraid of taking risks. These are the statements from Elizabeth Bykoff. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Elizabeth. And I'm so grateful to be connected with you after so many years.